morning, everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The ED heat over Congress leaders Sonia and Rahul Gandhi is all set to increase, with searches continuing at the Young Indian office and fresh allegations of using Hawala route coming out. Even as the Congress frets and fumes, it is becoming harder for its first family to evade questions on the alleged fraud. It's also becoming a full-blown war, with Congress making its intentions very clear in the past and now that they will react to any further action by the agency with protests and possibly anarchy, as witnessed during the questioning of the Gandhis earlier. Does India need to see chaos because the Gandhis are facing heat? Or is this a desperate measure by the party that is already at the fringes? After all, if the Gandhis become any more implicated, then what is left of the Congress? Are they intentionally raising the stakes in case the ED takes further action, like a search at 10 Janpad or even an arrest in this case? Time will tell. But what we do know right now is that the trouble is increasing for the Gandhis. Here is what ED sources are saying: that AJL received money through Hawala channels. Shell companies have been established for this purpose. At least 7 to 8 firms, in fact, are on the radar of the Enforcement Directorate. And entry operators who routed this money to AJL through these shell companies are all set to be summoned as well. ED, though, is tight-lipped on the names of the companies and the quantum of money involved. Congress, though, maintains that all of this is vendetta politics.
अगर कुछ किया नहीं है तो इतना डर क्यों है कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ताओं में, कांग्रेस के बड़े नेताओं में, और खास करके सबका एक ही कवायद है, सबकी कवायद है कि किस प्रकार से एक ही परिवार के लिए हम आंदोलन करें, एक परिवार को कैसे बचाया जाए।
ये तो एक पॉलिटिकल वेंडेटा की बात है और जो बीजेपी के विरोधी दल है उन दलों को खत्म करने की कोशिश वो कर रहे हैं।
But since the Congress doesn't want to be seen as fighting for the Gandhis alone, something they have been criticized for in the past, they have planned major nationwide protests on Friday on price rise and unemployment to build pressure on the government. Let's hope we see only peaceful protests this time. Those protests have turned into a face-off, but that's not all. Today, the Congress also opened up another front against the government via RSS on the Har Ghar Tiranga celebrations. And that's the big debate coming up today. How the BJP versus Congress war is snowballing on all issues, but very much because of the escalation of the ED heat on the Gandhis. Here's more.
After the Prime Minister of India asking for the Tiranga to be made as DP, but RSS is not doing it.
तिरंगा इस देश का है, भारत माँ का है। आइए राहुल जी, आप भी तिरंगा फहराइए।
The Tiranga face-off that erupted yesterday after opposition MPs boycotted the tricolour bike rally has become a full-blown war today after Rahul Gandhi accused BJP's fountainhead RSS of not hoisting the tricolour for 52 years after independence.
सद्भावना आना चाहिए, ये सोच के हमने किया है। आज अच्छा भी हुआ है। मैं पूरा उसमें उसके देख के आई एम वेरी वेरी हैप्पी। फिर भी नहीं आते हैं तो क्या करें, हम तो ज्यादा इसमें, क्योंकि हम I do not want to make politics out of it.
Even the AIMIM jumped in, accusing the RSS of being anti-Tiranga.
ऑर्गेनाइजर वीकली ने कहा था कि इस देश का झंडा तिरंगा नहीं बल्कि भगवा होना चाहिए। सितंबर 14, 1947 के उन्हीं का ऑर्गेनाइजर मैगजीन ने कहा था कि उसमें 3 रंग है, वो खुद अशुभ है, ईवल है। तो प्रधानमंत्री को इस बारे में कुछ बोलना चाहिए कि 1930 में जब हम लोगों ने उस वक्त एक तिरंगा बनाया गया था, जो आरएसएस के उस वक्त के सरसंघचालक थे, उन्होंने लोगों से कहा कि नहीं, आप लोग उसका साथ मत दीजिए।
Meanwhile, there is another face-off brewing with Congress planning nationwide protests on Friday on price rise and unemployment. Senior Congress leaders plan to gherao the PM residence and party MPs plan to march to Rashtrapati Bhavan from Parliament. Congress has already accused the government of suppressing their planned protests.
इस देश में नरेंद्र मोदी जी, अमित शाह जी कर रहे हैं लोकतंत्र के खिलाफ, उसके खिलाफ हम खड़े रहेंगे, चाहे कुछ भी करें।
तो आप डरने वाले नहीं हैं?
ना, बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं डरने वाले हैं। और मोदी से तो मैं मतलब बिल्कुल नहीं डरता।
और सर, आपको जिस तरह से कल एआईसीसी मुख्यालय को भी बैरिकेड किया गया,
सच्चाई को बैरिकेड नहीं करा जाता।
इनपुट्स यही मिल रहा है अलग अलग सोर्सेज से कि प्रदर्शन करेंगे और हो सकता है कि वो पीएम के घर के पास भी चले जाए। तो अभी तैयारी चल रहा है हमारा और हम पूरा इंश्योर करेंगे कि इस तरह के माहौल क्रिएट ही ना हो कि उधर तक चले जाए।
Congress protests are certain to become an intense face-off between the party and the police. But will the party allow its protests to descend into chaos and anarchy again? First up, I want to go across to my colleague Ashish Mehrishi, who's tracking more of the ED investigations into the Herald scam. Now, Ashish, how serious is this Hawala angle? Is this the first time something like this is coming out? And how confident is the agency that they can actually, get the money trail and put people in dock as far as the Hawala angle is concerned?
So, the Enforcement Directorate is very tight-lipped. In fact, I tried my best to get information from ED on, the kind of money trail which was leading to certain companies, which looks to be Hawala transactions. My sources in the Enforcement Directorate tell me there are around 5 to 6 companies through which it seems to be that there was an entry which was taken in lieu of cash, and the money came into Associated Journal, and that is why these raids were conducted. But this raid is, a part of the investigation which is more than a decade old now. So there are certain companies which are under investigation. They were raided. What I have been told is that 2 Hawala operators, which are basically involved into this money transaction, they are in all likelihood going to be called for investigation, they will be summoned for questioning, and we can expect more details in days to come.
So for the longest of time, Ashish, the Congress has been saying, where are the proceeds of crime? What's the laundering angle here? Do you think this Hawala probe or this Hawala angle probe will answer those questions?
Act investigation, the Enforcement Directorate tracks the money. So money which is basically in lieu of some crime. So here it seems to be that money which could be a part of some sort of kickback would have landed into hands of an entry operator, and the entry operator would have given some sort of entry to Associated Journal. But this is very far-fetched, very early to comment whether something like this has happened or not. So there could be a chance. The Enforcement Directorate is basically looking at certain money transactions where money has come from certain shell companies. There are around 5 to 6 shell companies. We still don't know the correct number because the Enforcement Directorate is absolutely tight-lipped. What I've been told is that there are certain Hawala transactions that they're looking at. They're going to certainly summon 2 individuals who were involved into this. So a person who is basically given entry for this transaction, their statement is likely to happen in a day or 2, and they will be summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. So let's see how things move forward. Too early to comment whether these were kickbacks or not, but certainly there are certain companies which are under investigation as of now.
All right, Ashish Mehrishi, we'll leave it at that. Big thanks for joining us and putting this into perspective. Let's take it to our guests now. Tom Varakan of the BJP is joining us. Swati Malik of the Congress Party. Satyendra Singh is former Deputy Director of ED. Varun Singh is political analyst, and Radhika Ramashesan is a journalist and columnist. Swati, I'm beginning with you. All of this huffing and puffing that the Congress Party is doing, that our voice is being silenced, that we are under siege. All of this is technically to raise the fever pitch on the ED investigation, isn't it? But why? Why do you want to evade the law? Let the process happen. Let the investigation happen.
Shivani, how have we evaded the law? Mr. Rahul Gandhi was questioned for 50 hours. More than 50 hours, he was there very much answering all the questions. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi was called for 3 days. She went, she joined the investigation. The other leaders, Mr. Bansal, Mr. Kharge, all of them have joined investigation. How are we evading the investigation? But what we are opposing, what we are raising our voice against is the selective use of or misuse of powers by ED. That is what we are objecting to. We are not talking about that ED should not investigate. Of course, it should investigate, but it has to investigate all parties, all people, everybody through parties fairly.
No,
Not
that's fine.
not
But as
just
far as
those
the
who-
allegations in the Herald scam are concerned, there is no real explanation coming in from the Congress party. Do you not find it serious? Now there's a Hawala charge coming in. We'll of course wait and see how the investigations proceed. I mean,
Yes,
why
ma'am.
this hue and cry? What was the Congress party and its leaders doing yesterday? For what? Just because the Young Indian office was sealed? It's under investigation.
Let me put this in the right perspective for you. The kind of action we have seen by ED in this case, first of all, usually the practice is that first there is a raid and then people are questioned. Then if you feel that there's something wrong, then you are questioned about it. But here what's happened? First, Mrs. Gandhi, everybody was questioned first, and thereafter raids are happening.
Because there
And
is
then
a
there's
court
nothing
order for
found
the
to be-
agencies to proceed. Let's not forget in this case, Subramaniam Swamy has gone to court and asked for the investigation. Let's not forget that.
Let's not also forget that in 2016 this case was also closed. Please understand that also.
But
And
there
now
are
ED
different
is again
agencies,
trying to
no?
push
They
out
always
something
open.
to the
Let's
other.
also not forget in 2019 there is a fresh order.
Absolutely, and that's why we have joined investigation. That's why we are going to ED for more than 50 hours, more than 3 days. And these are just the top leaders I'm talking about. I'm not even mentioning the other people who work at Herald House or who work at Young India Company who've been questioned. When have we evaded it?
No,
Please
the
tell me
question
that.
continues to be, what's the big deal? Why is the Congress party acting like it is under siege, or that some heavens have fallen? We know this case started even when the UPA was in power. You'll have to see the process through. And, when you threaten protests, we are reminded of what happened when Rahul Gandhi first went for his questioning.
Please
We
tell
don't want
me,
to see those
is
scenes.
the protest about ED out here, or is the protest that the Congress has announced for tomorrow, is it that about ED only, or is it about inflation and price rise?
Clearly,
What
you've
is-
learnt
what are
your
we
lessons
protesting
there,
against?
Swati. Clearly, you've learnt your lessons there. Last time around, when it was only about Rahul and Sonia Gandhi, there was a lot of criticism. That
So
the Congress is
therefore, now
only
we
on the
should not-
streets when it's about the Gandhis. Clearly, you've learnt your lesson. And
So
I have nothing
therefore-
against your protest.
therefore-
It's the manner
therefore,
of
we should
protest that is
not-
the problem.
Therefore, Shivani, we should not protest against inflation anymore.
No, absolutely you must. But in the boundaries that have been set for protest.
That's what we are doing. That's what we are doing. How are we not in the within the boundaries? Please tell me that.
Okay.
And as far as ED is concerned, while the debate will continue, I'm sure I will have another round. You will have more questions for me. That's when I will show you how the selective power is being misused by ED. I'm not
those
even going to go-
selectivism, Swati, I get your point and I'm not taking anything away from them. We have questioned the BJP on the court selectivism of the agencies, and I think the action that the agencies are taking, from Sanjay Raut to Partha Chatterjee to the Gandhis, we know that it's primarily the opposition leaders who are under investigation that the BJP has had to answer for and they will continue to answer for. That does not explain the allegations in any particular case. That's my point, and I'll focus myself on the Herald case. Tom Varakan, please respond to what Swati is saying, that you are deliberately building this pressure on opposition leader. You must have heard what Rahul Gandhi said today. We are not afraid of the PM. We are not afraid of the Home Minister.
Shivani, this is a decade-old case. This started during their own period. And as of the lower court, they were found guilty. And then it went to the High Court. The High Court upheld the issue. It went to the Supreme Court. And the matter, they said they will not interfere with the High Court. And this matter is within the judicial jurisdiction. The BJP has nothing, I repeat, nothing to do with it. Now, here we find that, well, when the opposition is only charged, when opposition parties like the TMC, when you had this issue about Bhattacharya and company,
Chatterjee.
not Bhattacharya, Chatterjee, it was the Congress party that said, well, the ED is doing a brilliant job. And when this thing happened to AAP, the ED was spotless, wonderful job. When it comes
I don't think
to
they put it in
Gandhis,
as many words. I think they welcomed the investigation against Satyendra Jain, but they didn't quite give a clean chit to the ED.
No, they didn't. But then point is, when it affects them, when the dynasts are affected, they come to the street talking about price rise. When price rise is discussed in Parliament, they walk out. Threadbare discussion was happening. A long speech by the finance minister of this country. But no, they had no time. They went out and spoke something else. They want to grab headlines. Now this cover fire for price rise and concern for the people is just an eyewash.
Okay,
The whole
Swati,
issue
can you
is
respond to
about
that particular
Gandhi.
question? This is just a ruse. ये तो बहाना है, असली तो प्रॉब्लम ये है कि ईडी की इन्वेस्टिगेशन हो रही है।
नहीं, अभी इन्होंने बहुत बोला भी that we only object when the Gandhis are being questioned. I'm sorry, even when Mr. Sanjay Raut was being questioned, we did raise our voices
we have
against
not
that
seen
too.
Congress come out on the streets, even for your own leaders before, even for Mallikarjun Kharge or Pawan Bansal. That's a fact.
I'm sorry, your network broke.
Continue, Swati.
Shivani?
Yes, Swati, if you can hear me, continue, please.
No, what I was saying is we are in this together, and the entire opposition is in this together against ED, against the misuse, whether it's just a bahana or not. Obviously, BJP will always use everything as a bahana, right? They will say whenever we question, either we are incompetent or hum bahane bana rahe hain. Whatever said and done, please tell me. I'll just make 2 points out here. First of all, we've not shied away from investigation. We have always joined investigation. Second of all, when nothing has been found, please tell me more than 50 hours, more than 3 days, and when all the senior leaders also question, when nothing has been found, this is just witch hunting that ED is doing.
How can you say nothing has been found? Come on, Swati. The ED hasn't gotten back after that those questioning. They're raiding the Young Indian office.
Absolutely,
clearly the investigation is pursuing.
Shivani, there is a gentleman from ED also in the panel. You may also ask him what is the usual procedure that is followed. Do they question?
But Tom Barakan wants to respond.
Very surprising, the kind of accusations that are being made. I can only tell them that when Kharge went and Bansal went, there was no band, baja and barat that went with him. I mean, they were clear-cut attempts to threaten the ED. An institution is being threatened. They're trying to tell the ED, if you do, I mean, they're telling officers openly, look, we'll get at you if we come to power. That's no way. They say they're cooperating with the investigation. This is certainly no way of cooperating.
Okay.
You can't threaten the ED. What are you worried about? If the courts are not providing you cover fire, the basic thing is you fight it in the courts. You tell the court that we are clear, and why not? But no, you won't. You have to have this band baja, arson in the city. You create a havoc in the country just because the Gandhis are being interrogated.
Okay, let me take that question. Let me take that question to Satendra Singh, who's the former deputy director of ED. Before I come back to the political slugfest, सत्येंद्र जी, ये जब लास्ट टाइम क्वेश्चनिंग हुई थी तो हमने देखा था कि दिल्ली, कर्नाटका वगैरह में बहुत सारे प्रोटेस्ट हुए थे, कुछ गाड़ियों को भी आग लगा दी थी. आपको लगता है कि ये ईडी पे प्रेशर बनाता है या ये प्रेशर टैक्टिक है?
शिवानी, ये जो भी कुछ होता है जो हमारे ऑफिस के एजेंसी के बाहर होता है, उससे हमें कोई बहुत असर नहीं पड़ता है. ईडी के ऑफिसर्स को हम अपना जो भी लॉफुल ड्यूटी है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, उसकी जो पेस है वो उसी पेस पे करते रहते हैं. एक परसेप्शन बनता है कि फर्क पड़ रहा है, नहीं पड़ रहा है. मुझे नहीं लगता कि हमारे ऊपर कोई फर्क पड़ता है.
वो तो अच्छी बात है. That is what I think all of us wanted to hear, that these protests don't make an impact on the officers who are conducting the investigation themselves. But सत्येंद्र जी, आपको क्या लगता है कि इस केस में, जैसे स्वाति जी कह रही हैं कि कुछ भी नहीं है फिर भी आप ईडी रेड कर रही है, कुछ भी नहीं है फिर भी क्वेश्चनिंग कर रही है, क्या ईडी ने कोई गलत स्टेप लिया है इस इन्वेस्टिगेशन में, आपको लगता है?
शिवानी, मेरी नजर में तो ये ईडी जो है, ईडी का इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग ऑफिसर है, अपनी पावर्स को बहुत ही तरीके से, बहुत ही स्मूथली यूज कर रहे हैं.
Okay.
अभी इन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, प्रोसीजर ये है कि पहले सर्च होती है फिर क्वेश्चनिंग होती है. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. ज्यादातर केसेज में देखिए प्रोसीजर क्या है. सबसे पहले इनपुट आता है, इंफॉर्मेशन आती है, उसके बाद उनको कलेक्ट किया जाता है, वेरीफाई किया जाता है अलग अलग सोर्सेज से, बैंकिंग चैनल से और भी एजेंसी से, कई जगह से. उसके बाद आईओ डिसाइड करता है कि मुझे अपनी कौन सी पावर यूज करनी है. सम्मन करना है पहले, या हमें पहले सर्च करनी चाहिए जिससे कि एविडेंस इधर उधर नहीं हो जाए. तो ये डिसीजन उस पर बेस करता है कि इनपुट क्या है.
राइट.
अब सम्मनिंग पहले हो गई, सर्च पहले कर देते हैं, कई बार होती है, उसमें क्या है. तो ये हो सकता है इस केस में सवाल उठता है कि साहब तलाशी कर दी, पहले पूछ ही लेते कि सब ठीक बोला जा रहा है नहीं बोला जा रहा है.
राइट, राइट. No, that's true. If the search had happened before the questioning, then also there would have been questions. If the questioning has happened before the search, then also there are questions. But those are obviously political questions. Swati, you've got a former officer here saying, this is the power of the ED. You've gone to court. Leaders of your party have gone to court, questioned PMLA provisions. You've come back empty-handed. There is a limit to how much chaos the Congress party can create just because the Gandhis are being questioned. अभी तो कुछ हुआ भी नहीं है.
Shivani, why do you keep coming back to the Gandhis being questioned?
Why does the Congress party keep coming back to the Gandhis?
The Gandhis questioning is over. It is not the Gandhis who are being questioned anymore.
Yeah, but the Gandhis are the one implicated in this case. That's why the whole hullabaloo is the maximum in this case from the Congress.
We don't even know the findings of the ED after the questioning, right? So how do we know whether they've been implicated, already found? How do we know all this?
Well, they are implicated.
Right? So
they are out on bail in this case.
Well, yes, they're out on bail, but we don't know the result of the questioning.
Yes,
right?
but you just gave them a clean chit just 2 minutes ago.
Mr. Singh himself, he just admitted that it is a prerogative of the IO whether to search first or whether to summon first. Right? That's what he just said. So that's what even I'm saying. The powers of the ED, whatever has been vested even by the Supreme Court, the judgment which 17 leaders of the opposition across all political parties have also written a letter to the Supreme Court. I'm sure you've read that as well. So I'm not even going there. My Congress party is only focusing on one thing today. Please tell me, who are the other leaders that you have questioned? Who are the other and I'm not only talking about just BJP, I'm talking about BJP allies also. I'm not only on BJP leaders. Please tell me where your supporters are. Please tell me when these 3 MLAs from Jharkhand, when they were arrested, a 4th MLA registered an FIR which named Mr. Hemant Biswa Sharma. Where is ED in that? 48 lakhs just found in the back of the car, and the reason they gave it, they were going to buy saris from Kolkata. ED should jump in there. I am saying that wherever there is a BJP person,
there is no action.
There's a BJP ally, that is where ED goes quiet.
I'll give Tom Vadagan an opportunity to respond to that, because I have debated this endlessly and ad nauseum. I can't waste more time on this, but I'll give Tom Vadagan an opportunity to respond to that. Radhika Ramasheshan, I'm coming to you. How do you see the escalation from the Congress party? Is it because they fear that tomorrow worse could happen and therefore they're upping the ante today itself?
Definitely, the path that the ED is pursuing in the case of this, the young Indian, I mean, strangely, it does remind me of another incident which had happened in the 90s, the Jay and Hawala diaries. So, I mean, there again, the temptation was to accuse the ruling regime of carrying out politically motivated investigations against the opposition, against internal dissenters within the Congress, and so on, So this now, if every such case has indisputably a political motive, we cannot deny that. However, the investigations are also following a particular trajectory, and that trajectory is the money trail is leading to the existence of shell companies, which seem to be a part and parcel of any such money laundering cases. So therefore, I think the Congress and the Gandhis have a lot to answer for. Doubtless, they've been questioned for 50 hours or whatever. But the point is that they still cannot recuse themselves from what is happening in this particular case. And I am sure that it's going to lead to more and more serious charges. I mean, that is what it looks like, regardless of whether the ED is being used as an instrument of the ruling regime or not. Now, we are talking about escalation outside Parliament, outside on the streets. There's no getting away from the fact that within the Congress, if an issue touches the Gandhis, that's when the party gets animated. No matter what the fig leaf for a protest is, whether it is inflation or unemployment, I think in this case, in this particular case, it is about saving the Gandhis. It is about earning a reprieve for them and, reinforcing the perception that minus the Gandhis, the Congress is just a shell of a party.
And therefore, this hurts where it hurts the most, isn't it? Because if this was to implicate the Gandhis any further, then, I mean, there are going to be, it's going to be virtually end game for the Congress party, Radhika. That is why we see this animation.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be end game, but I don't see it being the end game. On the other hand, I see the party rallying behind the Gandhis. there are leadership questions. I mean, will Sonia be permanently instated as the party president? Because Rahul seems markedly indifferent to taking over the reins of the party, or will they bring Priyanka? I do not see the leadership of the party going into anyone else's hands. This is going to be an occasion to reinforce the Gandhis and their leadership and the command structures.
I want to go back to Satendra Singh in just a bit, but before that, Varun Singh, I'll give you an opportunity. Do you feel that the Congress is browbeating the agencies? They're sending a message to the government, the people in power also, because some of the messaging from some of their leaders has been about, talking about virtually a war. Do you think that's browbeating the agencies at this stage?
First of all, let me tell you, the most difficult job right now is the job of being a spokesperson for Congress. Swati Malik says so many things and then goes back on it. She says ki kuch bhi nahi mila, and then she says the ED hasn't come to them. What kind of fair investigation are you asking for? Or agar कुछ भी नहीं है तो फिर डर कैसा आपको? कुछ भी नहीं है तो मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे कल नेशनल हेराल्ड के ऑफिस से ईडी के रहते हुए क्यों चले गए? यंग इंडिया के ऑफिस के इन्वेस्टिगेशन सर्च के लिए क्यों नहीं रुके? जब कुछ भी नहीं मिला, then why do you want to hold this protest? जब कुछ भी नहीं है तो हवाला के ऑपरेटर्स को क्यों इन्वेस्टिगेट किया जा रहा है by ED? There are many questions that the Congress just wants to avoid, and we have seen there are serious concerns about Congress holding this protest. We have seen how poor people, their bikes were burnt in Telangana in the guise of satyagraha by Congress when they were walking to the Raj Bhavan, in the guise of satyagraha in Karnataka, in the guise of satyagraha in Delhi. We have seen how their protest has turned violent. So if there's nothing to worry about, and I don't understand why it is only about Gandhi. Today, Mallikarjun Kharge is being investigated. He was being questioned by the ED. Not a single Congress person on the road. No satyagraha for him. Is Congress only about Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi? That party leaders are leaving left, right and center. They do not want to do anything. Every blame has been put on Mr. Motilal Vora. Poor chap. He's not here to defend himself now. But that's what's happening. Everything is put on him. The case is clear case. It's anybody with even an iota of understanding can tell you that 50 lakh rupees deke 2000 crore ki property kaise karna hai. I am telling you, Rahul Gandhi gave that fake theory of Alu Dalo, Sona Nikalo. The real money earning thing is over here. How to give 50 lakh rupees and get 2,000 crore worth property.
No, it's not just that. It's not just about the loan anymore. It is also about the profiteering allegedly of properties that are meant to be
the
not
whole
for
thing.
profit.
Your reporter rightly pointed out about the Hawala operations. If there's nothing,
Hawala
why
will
did
come
the
out
ED
now,
summon
but
him?
what we do know is that a lot of these properties that belonged to AJL and others were being rented or leased. They weren't functioning for the longest time for their stated purpose.
In 1983, in Mumbai, there was a huge plot in Bandra that was rented out to AJL. It was for what? It was for a printing press. It was for running a research center of Jawaharlal Nehru and a library where people can go and do their research. But what it is turned into now, there's a huge controversy going on over here, and I hope that all these things come out so that the land that should be used for that specific purposes can be brought back.
Swati, how will the Congress party defend itself? It's not just about legality, it's also about propriety. How will the Congress party defend itself from the very obvious fact that in this case, in the name of freedom struggle and freedom fighters, what was going on was something entirely different?
Shivani, I'm going to leave the merits for the courts, because if you start debating the merits out here and what our defense is going to be out there in the legal battle, that will really diffuse this debate as well. But what I want to really tell Mr. Varun right now, I think the only one good job that any other spokesperson is doing is to be speaking for the Congress right now, because this is the only party where you're allowed to speak your mind and you can raise your voice and you can talk against the present government, which is actually working like a tyrant. Coming back to the fact that
Sanjay Jha has been suspended for speaking his mind. Sanjay Jha was suspended from your party for speaking his mind. I didn't wanted to interrupt you, but just wanted to tell you some facts.
Varun, and secondly, I would like to also correct Varun here, because I think he believes in his WhatsApp university student about that Alu Dalo, Sona Nikalo. If we do a little more research about that, no, Varun, I did not interrupt you. I heard you very succinctly, Varun.
You
I
say
heard
you
you
say
very
he never said
patiently,
it.
please.
You
I
mean
heard
to
you
say
very
he never said
patiently
it.
putting all kinds of allegations on the party, on the leaders, on the spokespersons. So please kindly let
Madam,
me
you
finish
can
now.
make allegation
Please
on
do,
ED, you can make
please do
allegation
a
on
little. No,
Prime
you were
Minister,
the one
you
who
can make
made these
allegation
Alu
on the
Sona,
Home
whatever
Minister,
these
you can make
comments.
allegation on everyone,
You
but
were
no
the
allegation
one,
on you.
Varun. I can't do this cross talk, please. I mean, I kept quiet. I was listening to you very patiently. Please, allow me the same time and
Please go
allow me
ahead.
the
Please
same
go
respect
ahead.
that I'm giving you, please. As far as the Alu and Sona is also concerned, Shivani, I'm sure you would have seen the clearer video where these were the words of Mr. Narendra Modi, which were repeated by Rahul Gandhi. But the whole WhatsApp university got, the whole brigade, rather, the WhatsApp brigade got after it, edited it, and kind of. Anyways, let's not even go there. You're talking about how this investment became into how many crores and whatever, the benefit or the income earned by the Young India company. Has anybody questioned Mr. Jay Shah about it? His company before 2014 was 71 lakhs. Today he's 120 crores. How does that
Swati,
benefit
how is
work?
that
Where
a
the
comparison? Come
where
on.
is the issue there?
Jesha is
No.
running a business. This is a
Please
non-profit.
understand this. Please understand this, Shivani. The fight is not against the Herald the litigation out here or the Herald case out here. Our fight, we are telling you, please investigate. We've joined investigations. Please, we
Yeah,
will
the
join the
Congress says
investigation
that,
further.
but every time the
Today, the leader of
investigation
the
continues,
opposition,
or
Shivani, let me.
yeah, no, but
Shivani,
every time the investigation
let me just
raises
finish,
its
please.
step, then
Just 30
suddenly we
seconds,
are told
Shivani.
that there is going to be some.
Shivani, just 30 seconds.
Okay,
I just
go
want to
ahead.
finish one point. Today also, I'm sure you would have heard that the leader of the opposition was summoned by the ED at 11:30 while the 12 o'clock, while the 0 hours was going on. Why could the ED not wait? He's a leader of the opposition, Mr. Kharge. He's sitting in the parliament and he's summoned by the parliament to join ED investigation today. While the parliament is in session.
Swati, sorry, the problem is that, you raise these things, I don't even know how to respond. But anyways, I will give Satyendra Singh the opportunity to respond to this. Satyendra Singh? लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन को 11 बजे का क्यों समन दिया? उनको पार्लियामेंट खत्म करने देते। ऐसे काम करती है एडीए, फिर सवाल उठाते हैं लोग।
शिवानी, मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा इस बारे में कि कल ऑफिस सील किया गया, जो ये सब मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स है, मेरे पास कोई ऑफिशियल जानकारी नहीं है, लेकिन कल यंग इंडिया का ऑफिस सील किया गया। उसके साथ ही पूरे मीडिया में हंगामा शुरू हो गया कि साहब ये तो ऑफिस बंद कर दिया है उन्होंने। अब ऑफिस की सर्च करने के लिए ही खड़गे जी को बुलाया गया, क्योंकि किसी भी प्रीमाइस की यदि सर्च करनी है, घर है या ऑफिस है, तो उस परिवार के या उस कंपनी के रिस्पॉन्सिबल आदमी के सामने तलाशी ली जाती है, जो वारंट पे साइन करता है, जो सर्च के दौरान मौजूद होता है, इंडिपेंडेंट गवाह होते हैं। अब यदि खड़गे जी को नहीं बुलाया जाता तो क्या सर्च रात को की जाती? और फिर ये सवाल उठता कि साहब ये ऑफिस बंद कर रखा है इन्होंने, तो कोई तो आएगा, खड़गे जी आएंगे, जो भी पदाधिकारी, उन्हीं में से किसी एक को आना पड़ेगा। मुझे नहीं पता और कौन कौन पदाधिकारी।
नहीं, खड़गे जी को बोला गया था। इनफैक्ट what ED sources have even told us is that they willfully went away. They came to the premises yesterday and then left, even as the searches were going on. Tom Varakan, you wanted to come in?
Very interesting, Shivani. I want to inform the former director, deputy director. I'm a very humble Karyakarta of the BJP, but the reality on the ground is, he was there in the evening. Then suddenly, when he realized the matter was getting too hot for him, because there were certain leads there, he decided to walk it out. He walked out. He said, well, he has some pressing engagements. What else does the Enforcement Directorate do to get a man who escaped from the site? Because essentially he had pressing engagements, it seems. Now, let that rest. And as to the question of what the former deputy director said, if you don't have somebody from the office to have an evidence, they are following a protocol, Shivani. And
he's not raising that question. Swati Malik is raising that question. Swati, in fact, is raising the question that why did the ED have to call him when Parliament is going on?
Shivani, my question is, why did he run away yesterday evening? He ran away as fast as he came in.
They could have called him on Saturday. They could have called him on Sunday.
No,
they could have called him on any other day while the Parliament is in session. By then, and that too when he had already moved a motion to speak. First it was denied and then the 0 hour was happening. That's when he was called to join. So let's be fair out here,
when you
Shivani.
can walk out, when the Parliament is session, an Enforcement Directorate, which is constitutionally has a right to call anybody, whether it's a member of Parliament, It's not a privilege issue. A member of parliament can be summoned if it's an extreme situation. And
Has it
under
happened
the
in the
law,
last 75 years? Have other members of the parliament ever been summoned? But has it happened during the parliament session going on? Have you ever witnessed this kind of high-handedness?
Has corruption reached such a point? For 50 lakhs, you get 2,000 crore. That's how it is done.
Please send
This
ED
is
up
a
to
loot.
Jaysha and find out
This
from
is a
75
loot
lakhs to
government.
120 crores.
Then
There is a lot
UPA
more money
government
there.
headed
There is
by
a lot more
Manmohan
money out
Singh
there than this.
was all
money
about
that we
loot.
keep giving.
This is all about loot and a cover-up operation on price rise. Unfortunately, people of India have woken up and they know your game completely. Their eyes are open.
Mr.
They are
Varakan,
watching you very closely.
Mr. Varakan, what about the charge that the BJP consistently faces? And I will ask Tinder Singh also, that the agencies are only active on opposition leaders. As if nothing else is happening. Nothing else shady is happening.
I'll tell you, no investigation has been slowed down. All the files are open. Investigation is on.
But no action is happening.
Actionable will be taken when there is evidences coming in. And believe me, under the Prime Ministership of Modi ji, nobody is going to be spared, especially the corrupt.
Mani, please ask them, when are they starting investigation on the Madhya Pradesh paper scam? When are they going to question that FIR which has been registered by the 4th MLA of Jharkhand? When are they going to question about the PP scam of Himachal Pradesh? When are they going to talk about all that? Why are they going after states which are non-BJP states? Only those states which are non-BJP are facing investigation. Maharashtra. Also, if ED has a very important job under PMLA. Today when MLA from Maharashtra to Goa to Guwahati,
Congress party is the mother of corruption. I'm sorry.
Where is that cash coming from? That should not bother
you. If this is the corruption,
you should
if
go
this
after
is the
that
mother
also.
of
That is
corruption,
where the corruption lies today.
When
you are taking
I
MLAs from
can write a
non-BJP
book on
parties,
corruption.
when you are offering them money,
I'll ask you one question. Can you hear me? Can you hear me out? I'm asking you a question. Have you been to the accounts department of the AICC? Have you seen the huge paper shredder and the office shredders at every general secretary's room? What are they hiding? What is the paper shredders doing? Huge paper shredders. I've never seen such sized paper shredders. Go into your office, check out.
All the MLAs
find
from
out.
non-BJP
You're
parties
being a Congress
paying those
spokesman.
MLAs from
Go
where?
and have a look at
You should
them.
investigate
Go and
that
have a look.
amount
Can
as
I-
well.
What are you hiding?
Investigate
What are
corruption,
you hiding?
investigate every
Well,
kind of
the reality
Why
is...
this paper
No, the
shredder?
reality also
Not
is, Mr. Varakan, the reality also is that the longer these cases drag, the charge on the BJP also will come that you are dragging these cases because they give you political
Shivani,
mileage.
this is
Let them,
10-year-old
no, if you
case.
believe
Why
something
is
so
not
wrong is
10-year-old
happening, then
case?
let it come to a
This did not
finality.
happen yesterday.
Let it come to a
Shivani,
finality. You cannot use it politically alone.
This is a 10-year-old case. This not happened yesterday.
Sure enough.
And
Satendra
it
Singh.
takes time.
No, fair enough, fair
Investigation
enough.
takes time.
I'm just saying, as far as these big high places and important individuals' cases are concerned, which of them have come to a conclusion? That's also a benchmark we have to set. But Satendra Singh, I'm giving you a final 30 seconds. एक सवाल उठता है कि एजेंसी सिर्फ सिलेक्टिव टारगेटिंग कर रही है. आपको क्या कहना है इस बारे में?
ऐसा नहीं है शिवानी. एक्चुअली जो भी डिस्कशन या हाइप क्रिएट हो रही है वो हो रही है जो पॉलिटिशियंस या पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से रिलेटेड लोगों पे कोई एक्शन हो रहा है. इसके अलावा जो कॉर्पोरेट साथ साथ चल रहा है, अभी एनएससी का स्कैम है, अभी संजय पांडे फॉर्मर सीपी बॉम्बे के पीएमएलए में अरेस्ट हुए हैं, कोई पैनल डिस्कशन नहीं है. क्या ईडी वो केस नहीं कर रही है? क्या ईडी सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस के केस कर रही है? तो मेरा कहना है, मेरा तो ये कहना है कि ईडी अपना काम कर रही है, जो उसको काम मिला और जो केसेस मिले हुए हैं और उनको बहुत अच्छे तरीके से कर रही है. लेकिन कॉर्पोरेट्स पे जब एक्शन होता है उसका कोई जिक्र नहीं होता, सिर्फ पॉलिटिशियंस जब इन्वॉल्व होते हैं तो ये थोड़ा डिस्कशन होता है.
आपने सही बात करी. I don't think we can disagree with what you're saying. I do thank all of you for joining us. I've run out of time. We'll see how it plays out tomorrow when the Congress plans its nationwide protests. I'm shifting my attention to sports now. On day 6 of the 2022 Commonwealth Games, India's Tejaswin Shankar scripted history by winning the country's first ever medal in high jump at the competition. This was also India's first athletics medal this year. The national record holder Shankar cleared 2.22 meters to finish third at the event. The 23-year-old was a very late entrant into the games contingent and even missed the opening ceremony. He was left out by the Athletics Federation initially because he had to skip Indian competition for the NCAA championship in the USA where he's studying. Despite achieving the qualification mark, he wasn't added in the Indian contingent, but he won a court battle and was added last minute on the orders of the Delhi High Court. The Delhiite proved himself worthy, and how. And the history maker is now joining us live. Tejaswin, many congratulations and thanks a lot for speaking to us. You nearly did not make it to Birmingham. You had to fight a court battle to even be there as part of the Indian team. Is this medal India's first ever in high jump, especially sweeter because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's sweeter just because of that. But yes, it's been a roller coaster of a journey to be able to get here. And that being said, I feel like I'm just so happy. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Is there any hard feelings that you had to fight this court battle to be there? You had to take the Athletics Federation to court despite achieving the qualification mark?
I wouldn't say there's any hard feelings, but at the end of the day, we all, be it Athletics Federation of India, be it SAI, be it IOA, be it anybody, be it the athlete, the only thing that everybody is concerned about is trying to maximize the medal tally for the country, and everybody has their own ways of doing it. And yes, there might be difference of opinion, and in this case there was, but ultimately everybody realized that, okay, I'm glad, I was given the opportunity at the end and I was able to make the most of it. And at that point, the only thing that I could have done was to bring a medal and contribute to the tally. And the fact that I did that, I'm just grateful that, okay, kehte hain, de raha hai, durust hai. So in the end, I was given that opportunity, and in the end, I was able to make the most of that opportunity. So that's what matters to me. It doesn't matter if, I had to fight a court battle or whatnot. Ultimately, we were able to get a medal for the country, and that's just a medal through me. It's not my medal, it's the country's medal. And I'm just so happy I am the bearer of that medal for our country, and that just makes me so happy.
Right. You made it to the games very late, as I mentioned. Did that make a difference to your performance, or did you feel that you were always very ready to perform when the day came?
So as an athlete, I feel like usually the one thing that all athletes like is certainty. And that's what we always, try and build our training regimen around. And in my case, that's the one thing that I didn't have. So I wasn't sure what I was training for. But the other thing that as athletes we always train for, or the one thing that we look for, is to try and be adaptable and try and find, some sort of a way to tackle any situation or condition.
Yes.
And that's what I feel like I was able to bank on in this situation, when I was able to find my rhythm, even though I had, things were not going my way, even though, things didn't happen the way I wanted them to happen. But I feel like through that adversity, I was able to find a way to actually make my training regimen, make things happen, not be picky about stuff, and actually go through my routine by being more adaptable, by being more adaptive to what I had around me. So all that being said and done, I feel like once I landed in Birmingham, before that, yes, there were a lot of, ifs and buts, and whether I will be here or whether I'll not be here. But once I landed in Birmingham, I knew that we just had one objective, which was to bring a medal for the country, win a medal for the country. And I think the fact that that happened, and in such a, climatic way, I think it was very exciting for all of us to see how it unfolded.
Yes, it was exciting, and certainly it must be for you. Yours is now a historic achievement. How does that make you feel? As I said, this is India's first ever high jump medal at the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's all right.
It's all right. Don't you feel great that you've scripted your name into history forever?
That's okay. I feel like, that's for you guys to figure out. I mean, for me, I just go there, compete, come back. Like, I don't really look back at what I did and how many centimeters or millimeters. For me, it's just like, okay, I did my best on that day. Like, since then, I haven't even watched videos of my high jump because I just feel nervous and anxious. I just don't want to go back and live that moment again. So for me, the competition part is over. Now I just want to celebrate, spend time with my family, just hang out with my friends. I think that's the better part for me. If I go back to watching videos of my competition, I'll just be like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that.
Yeah.
I don't want any regrets or any expectations out of my performance. I'm just happy that I was able to bring a medal and on to the next competition. That's how I look at it, and that's how I will go.
But I will press you a little bit about your performance. I have a couple of questions on that. One, you had to gradually build up to that 2.22 meters mark. Was there a lot of tension as you were gradually doing this, although you were successful in all of your attempts? And the second question is that you have touched 2.27 in a previous competition this year. That would have won you gold here. Are there any regrets that you couldn't quite touch that mark?
So there's two parts to your question. I'd like to just explain the whole thing. Usually in a big competition, in a championship competition like this, it's, yes, you want to do your best, you want to be present, you want to, jump your best mark. But at the same time, it's more about the medals, more about being in the top 3 than anything else. So for me, coming into the competition, I had a strategy. I came here 3-4 days ago, and people talk about acclimatization and all these things. It's also about how you observe the environment, how you see how the conditions are. Track and field being an outdoor sport, I was here 3 days ago, and I was able to observe that after like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., Birmingham starts to get a little bit chilly. So the strategy that I made was, our final was at 7 p.m. So I knew that, okay, I had to make sure that I didn't have any early misses. So in the lower heights, I didn't want to have any misses, so that on the higher heights, I'll have a better chance compared to my competitors. So that's what I stuck to. I made sure that I didn't have any misses, because as the day, like it got colder in the evening, it'll be difficult for everybody.
Okay.
So this, all knew even before the competition started that this probably won't be a really high jumping competition, but it'll probably come down to, who has less misses on the card or that sort of thing.
Okay.
So the guys who finished first and second with 225, those guys have jumped 236, 237. So they are extremely capable of jumping higher. And me, myself, I'm capable of jumping higher. But on that given day yesterday, it was a little bit chilly and it was affecting everybody. So you saw that it was a low scoring final, but at the same time, the reason that I was able to do well was probably because I had a strategy which was to make sure that I didn't have any early misses, and that really helped me. I don't know if that was strategy or that was luck, but it played in my favor, and I'm glad that it ended the way it did.
Okay. Let me just ask you finally, what does this bronze medal mean to you after everything that you've been through? And how are you going to celebrate this?
It just means the whole world to me and my family. And, before coming here, the only person who was, we didn't really hope to come here to the Commonwealth Games. We feud even 5-6 days before the Commonwealth Games. Even the opening ceremony, I was sitting in my house and with my mother. So my mother jokingly said, I really don't think you're going to come here. I was like, please, mom, don't say all these things. I say, Apshagun mat bolo, acha bolo. So then next day we found out that we were going. So everything just happened so fast that we never really had the time to process or, had the time to get excited about the possibility of competing at the Commonwealth Games, get excited about, competing with all these stalwart athletes. So for me, it was just a pick up your bag and just go moment, because it's still sinking in. So I'm just excited to go back home, spend time with my family, show it to my mother. I had a WhatsApp call with her yesterday, WhatsApp call with our family, and everybody was so excited. My grandmother was up watching, the competition on TV, and how in our family or in any family, you've made it in life when you're on TV. So for my I made it in life. So now I just want to go back home and show her the medal and just enjoy my time with the family.
All right. You certainly do deserve to enjoy your time. Thanks a lot for speaking to us, and all the best for future competitions as well. Tejaswin, thanks a lot. With that, I am slipping into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you the day's biggest stories.